synthesizers, groove boxes. Visit Patchworks in Seattle and online at patchworks.com.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name's Matthew from Patchworks. Well, my name's not from Patchworks, but my name's Matthew, and I'm here from Patchworks. Today, we have another episode of Patchworks Live. This is the synthesizer show that we put on every Friday at 3 o'clock here on YouTube. And today, what we're having a look at is the brand new Strymon Reverb pedal Cloudburst. But not only that, we're pairing it with these two lovely synthesizers, the West Pest and the East Beast by Create Audio. These are great little synthesizers, fully analog synthesizers. They have sequencers built in. They are monophonic. I mean, they'd be pretty large if they were polyphonic analog synthesizers, so it makes sense that they're monophonic. They're semi-modular. They have MIDI. They have clock dividers. They have random pattern generators. And then they have two distinct synthesis styles. On the right side, we have the East Coast style synthesis, so your basic subtractive synth voices, multiple waveforms to choose from. And then on the left side here with the West Pest, we have a West Coast style synthesis, so a Buchla-esque style synthesis with low pass gate. And instead of using a filter, what it uses is wavefolding to get different tones. So they typically in West Coast synthesis, you'd start off with a very basic waveform and use techniques like wavefolding and different kinds of distortions to create more dynamic waveforms, more complex waveforms is the word I'm looking for. So that's what this does, but it does offer more than just sine waves for you to wavefold and create more complex waveforms with. You can also start with a triangle or a sawtooth. Over here we have a sine wave, a triangle, a sawtooth, and a square wave along with pulse width, which you can pulse width modulate using a patch cable. So you would find that with modulation here, and you would patch out from your LFO here. So you do a little self-patching because it is not normaled over to that. So you have to do some patching, which is great. And patching is a lot of fun, and that's why we get into semi-modular and modular so that we can do some interesting patching. But I know that my face is covering up the Cloudburst. Let me switch over to where I am. So this is the Cloudburst. This is really what I wanted to show off. We've talked about these synthesizers before. Of course, we do have the Octatrack over here. The reason I chose to have the Octatrack on the table today is because, for one, I just always have an Octatrack with me. They're extremely utilitarian. This one's actually for sale right now at Patchworks at a discount because it's an open box Octatrack. Totally mint. But very happy to have the Octatrack here with me because the Octatrack lets me do stereo send and return, which is what we're doing with the Cloudburst. So I have these separately going into their own inputs in the Octatrack, and then I can separately give them their own send and return, and they're clocking their sequencers independently. You could sequence from the Octatrack and sequence them themselves, but I think some of the fun with these two boxes is using their sequencers. So we'll dive into their sequencers a little bit. But really what I want to show off is this Cloudburst. So I'm going to do some sound examples with the Cloudburst with playing with a little bit of the send here on the Octatrack. We're going to start with the subtractive synth side with the East Beast because this is going to be some really familiar sounds. And you're going to get to hear how awesome the Cloudburst sounds. And all of this is stuff that you can find here at Patchworks. So if you want to learn more about it, you can go head on down to the video description. I have links pointing you to the website, which has all the details on all four of these boxes here. So here, Cloudburst, it's a little, I got to push my microphone a little further so I can get closer to it. So let me tell you a little bit about Cloudburst. Cloudburst is an ambient reverb. It says it right here on the box. What makes it an ambient reverb is really the ultra long decay and the very long pre-delays that you get from it, and that it has these cool ensemble modes. But it's just, this reverb is quite special. It sounds amazing. So Cloudburst is taken from a algorithm that is from the Big Sky, which is Strymon's ultimate reverb. It's a big old pedal, and you can design your own reverbs in it and save them as presets. Very powerful reverb. It's been around for quite some time. It's been a staple in modular and ambient for a very long time. And there was an algorithm in Big Sky called Cloud. And Cloud is the algorithm that they based Cloudburst off of. So Cloudburst is a unique algorithm. You can't find this algorithm in any other Strymon pedal, or any pedal for that matter. You just can't find it anywhere. It is just here in this pedal. And something else that's unique about this pedal, I have a little piece of tape on it so it wouldn't move. But what's really cool about this pedal is the new form factors. This is the first that you're going to see. We thought that the Blue Sky, which was a variation, another one of these ideas where they were taking an algorithm from Big Sky and made it its own pedal. We thought that form factor was cool and slim, but they actually made this form factor way more slim. So it's a dual TRS with expression pedal input on the back. So if you want to do dual stereo in this smaller form factor, which more like matches your standard Boss pedal size that you've come to know and love from your guitar playing, if you're a guitar player, it's much more that size, but of course it still looks like a Strymon pedal. It's got the same color, but it's got these angled edges. It just looks like a Strymon pedal. Like it's easy to know this is Strymon. But it is unique the way they did it, because using the TRS cables as opposed to a 1/4-inch Y split for left and right with a mono input, or having 4 inputs to get your stereo, they were clever into the TRS. So you may have to get some new pedal cables to use it if you want to use it in stereo, or you just need to get some adapters or something. But I think it's really great, the size that they chose. But what's even better is the way this reverb sounds. So I'm doing a lot of talking. I haven't shown you much about it yet. Let's get to like a really just simple spot. Short pre-delay, 12 o'clock decay, and turn the modulation all the way down. We have mix all the way up because we're using this as a send effect. Typically when you're using a send effect, you have your send pedal at 100% mix, and you're mixing how much of the signal you send into the pedal. So that's why we have this at 100% wet. If this was an insert effect, that would mean that it would be in between the voice, the sound generator, and the output device. But instead, this is actually going into it and going back into this, and then that's what's giving us our audio. And that's the difference between an insert and a send. So an insert is literally inserted in the chain of audio, whereas a send effect is something that you can tap into with multitudes of devices. So this is a send effect right now. The Octatrack can do send effects using the Q output. You go into your project settings, head over to audio, and you turn on Q config to studio, and it will open up this second dial. You can see there's 2 lines here. One of them is my send amount. I have 2 different through tracks so that I could have 2 independent send amounts. So this first one is should be, I believe, the East Beast. So let's find out. Ooh, there it is. Okay, so we have it set up on a very basic reverb setting right now. I have well, let's change the waveform. So let's just get a sawtooth to start it off. So that you can hear is the Cloudburst. I could turn it off so we could just... This is a great sounding analog synthesizer, very affordable synthesizer. It's good to get into it, like a good synthesizer to get into modular, semi-modular. What's cool too is you can actually take the East Beast right out of this case and stick it into your modular system if you wanted to get a full voice and all of its other features like MIDI conversion to CV, along with LFOs and filters and different waveforms. It would be a great addition to your synthesizer and cost as much as buying a single oscillator, and you get a full voice with a sequencer. So pretty cool that you can do that with both of these synthesizers. So Cloudburst has, as I said, these amazing tones that it can generate. I'm going to go over the panel real quick and just kind of explain why, again, it's so good. And so here we have our decay. This is the length of your reverb tail. So all the way to where I have it now is on infinite. It does have a special infinite mode that you can play with using an expression pedal. It also has a freeze mode, which is also great. So if you have an expression pedal hooked up, you can freeze your reverb in its current state and play on top of that reverb frozen state. So you can use it as kind of a way to stack and create maybe chords even out of reverb tails, which is pretty great. What's going on, everybody? Friend man, Theramina Covington, salutations. Thomas, very clean. GG, I wish more companies would do that. Love the space saving. I do too. I think it's really great that they did that. Hi, everybody, and everybody, thank you for hanging out with me on Patchworks Live, the Friday synthesizer show that we put on. I have a lot of fun doing it. It's one of the things I look forward to every week, is getting ready for the stream and showing off some cool synthesizers here at Patchworks in Seattle. So back over to this panel, we have the decay knob here. So this is going to be the length of your reverb. Pre-delay, this is when the reverb kicks in. So if I turn the pre-delay like all the way up, this has a really long pre-delay. I don't see very many reverbs with this length of pre-delay. I think it's pretty cool that they did this. So this is going to take a while for this reverb to kick in. So check this out. Pretty cool, right? It's almost like a call and return. But if I had the ensemble turned on, it'd sound even crazier. It's like a string quartet behind us. I'm gonna turn that back off because we're gonna head back over to that in a second. Happy St. Patrick's Day, as Anthony. Thank you very much. I'm not wearing my green now, but I have a green jacket, so nobody pinch me. We do have the East Beast. It's got some green on it, so I win. All right, a little bit further here. So like I was saying, really long pre-delays, you can mess with that. All this stuff has MIDI CC as well, so you can use Strymon's got a pedal for connecting MIDI to, or a component for connecting MIDI into their 1/4 inch jack. So you can control this entire delay pedal with your computer or another synthesizer or something like the Octatrack, for instance. Tone is actually just a low-pass filter, so it's a really basic feature, but a very needed one with a big ambient reverb. Like they said, ambient reverb, low-pass filters, and ambient go hand in hand. It's just a fact. We're always smoothing out that high end. Things that are really bright tend to be less ambient feeling. So they did a good job with this. As opposed to it being at 12 o'clock and going low pass, high pass, it's just low pass. So with this all the way turned up, it's going to have a much brighter reverb. Modulation modulates the actual reverberated signal. I imagine what's happening is it's an LFO. It's not a really crazy modulation. Even at full modulation, that's fully modulated. It's just nice. Like it's not like woo 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 like some wild LFO sound. It's just good enough. It's much more noticeable once you turn on the mezzo piano ensemble. So there's two kinds of ensemble: forte, which means like strong and present, and mezzo piano, which is a softer version of that. So right now we're on that mezzo piano version. You can hear more of that modulation. We're going to go back to that in a second. And then above that we have our dry wet mix, and that covers the entire pedal. It's a really simple pedal, but it has all the sounds that you need from a reverb. It's kind of like, it's the sweet spot reverb. It's probably the most sweet spot reverb I have used to date, which is good because time is only going further out, and I expect things are supposed to get better and better and better with time. That's how I would like things to work. That is definitely how the Cloudburst works. This is a great reverb, I have to say. I am a big fan of this reverb right off the bat. It just sits in the pocket the whole time. There's almost no settings on it other than turning up the pre-delay all the way, all the time. That would be kind of like, why am I doing this? Otherwise, every setting on it is just going to sound good. It's just finding like that perfect spot for you, but almost all of them are going to work. So it covers just doing a basic reverb sound, but it also covers this beautiful ensemble ambient style reverb. And we're gonna get into the weeds with that in just a moment here. So let me do some more sound examples. Let's start turning on this ensemble. We're gonna keep using the East Beast because it sounds so good. We have the ensemble on the mezzo piano setting, so it's there. You can hear it, but it's not like overwhelming like the forte setting will be. Turn that mod down, and we can do some filtering. Let's give it some more send. So you can really hear it. Maybe a little more pre-delay. Woo! That mod going. There's that low pass filter. Oh my gosh. This reverb's insane. It's so good. Do a clock division of the sequencer. Let's take this LFO. How's that for an ambient reverb, huh? There's that ensemble. I mean, you don't even have to know what you're doing at all. Which is what we want. We want to be able to make music. We want everyone to be able to make music that they love very quickly and very easily without having to dive forever into some esoteric jargon manual. Even though I do recommend that you do that, highly recommend that you do that. It's really nice when you don't have to. And a pedal like the Cloudburst is one of those pedals that lends itself to people just being able to buy it, plug it in, and go like, wow. This just sounds good with everything that I pair with it. So let's hear it with the West Pest. And we've been listening to this East Piece, which sounds awesome. We like it. Semi-modular. Very affordable. Great little synth. Switch over to the West Pest now. It's going to be a completely different vibe. So, now let's talk about the West Pest. Maybe I'll even talk about the Octatrack a little bit, but we don't need to do that. I talk about that enough. So as I said before, West Pest is a West Coast style synthesizer. Uses the same sequencer, the same layout, the same UX as the East Beast. So if you're familiar with one, this is going to be very easy to use. It just has a few things that are a little bit different. It's mostly just verbiage that's different. Otherwise, it really acts in the same way. This large wavefold knob and this filter knob here, they're going to kind of give you the same results. The more that you turn this one up, it's going to add more wavefolding, which is going to create more of a complex waveform, and in turn, going to give you more harmonic content, so it's going to sound more bright and rich. And that's the same idea as opening up a low-pass filter. Although we do have more filter options on the East Beast. We have a bandpass and a high pass. And we don't have that here. We don't have different kinds of fold options. We just have the wave contour. But we do have a fold modulator, which is normaled to the LFO, so we can adjust that without having to use any sort of patching over here. So here we are at a sine wave. As you can see, a sine wave only generates one fundamental tone. So it's not very complex sound. It sounds very soft and gentle. So we can make this sound get a lot more complex by turning up the wave folding. This folds the wave in on itself and starts making the waveform much more complex. Imagine a sine wave. The shape of the sine wave is becoming like two of those, kind of like bending into itself. It's going to start looking like kind of like a cloud a little bit. So it sounds kind of like a filter opening. And there's resonance for the low pass gate, which is a staple of West Coast synthesis. Brian Bites, compared to Night Sky, I would say it's nothing like the Night Sky. The Night Sky is definitely its own thing. The Night Sky is a more robust reverb pedal. It has a lot more features built into it. It has a sequencer built into it, which is a thing unto itself. This has no sequencer. This doesn't have secondary modes. It just has the mezzo piano and forte ensemble mode that, of course, is fantastic to have, but it's like it's just the sweet spot. You buy this, you just get good stuff. Whereas in the Night Sky, of course, you get this amazing reverb pedal, but it is a much deeper pedal. It requires a lot more learning and has a lot more features, but it doesn't make this sound. The Night Sky does not make the same sounds as the Cloudburst. The Night Sky is a very dark reverb to me, hence Night Sky. But it does sound great. They both sound awesome. All right, back over to the West Pest here. So again, we're just sitting on the sine wave. If I turn up this sustain with the release here, I can just hold this note down. Let's go to some low notes. That sounds a lot like oscillator sync, doesn't it? If you're familiar with oscillator sync, right there, right in that little sweet nugget spot here, sounds a lot like oscillator sync. Now, if we change the waveform, holding yellow and hitting the waveform button, we move over to our triangle, which is a more complex waveform. Not that much more complex than a sine wave, but it is more complex. You hear those harmonics? Sounds a little bit more like the East Beast in that moment. Let's go to another one. And here we are with the sawtooth. So a very rich waveform, the sawtooth. So this is going to get very complex wave shapes when we start folding it. I'm a big fan of that sound. I mean, that sounds really good. And if we turn up the resonance on this low pass gate, it's going to emphasize the cutoff peak that the low pass gate has. Let's hear how this sounds running through the Cloudburst. Let's do exactly what I just did, but with the Cloudburst. So hold Q, turn the level knob up to send this into our reverb pedal, and here we go. That is with the Forte Ensemble, so the very present, much brighter, louder ensemble sound. Let's put some low pass on it. Some heavy modulation. I mean, it's like a Blade Runner soundtrack. So something I think is really cool is, check this out. Let's turn the pre-delay all the way up and turn this decay way down, but the mix is all the way up, and keep that tone up. With the Forte Ensemble, it's very bright, and now I'm just gonna like randomly play a bunch of notes just quickly, but check out what happens here. Isn't that cool? I really love that effect. If you're playing some guitar, you know, doing like some like upstrokes or something, you can get some cool rhythms going. Excellent pedal, I'm telling you. Really like the Cloudburst quite a bit. All right, Let's get some decay going again, because what we want from an ambient reverb is long swells. We don't want it all the way up, but we want it pretty close. Pretty close. I think that this is a sweet spot. Oops. You can combine the waveforms too. You can do that here as well. Sounds pretty excellent, right? That's what a truly analog synthesizer sounds running through a beautiful sounding reverb. It just works really well together. Very pleased. Everything I've paired with the Cloudburst, I did pair some other stuff with it. I made a video using it in the model cycles that'll be coming out shortly, and that was a great combination as well. Sending it digital sounds as opposed to these analog sounds that we're sending it into the Cloudburst have been really excellent. So quite pleased with it. It's always good when somebody comes out with a great sounding reverb. Ted the Head asks, how about compared to DBA Rooms? You know what? I can't really compare it to DBA Rooms because I haven't had enough personal time with Rooms. It's a beautiful looking pedal. I'm always enthralled by it, and like I want to have one and play with one just based on its aesthetic alone because it's a nice looking pedal, but I personally haven't gotten to play with it too much. I know that Strymon is kind of like at the top of the food chain when it comes to DSP and guitar pedal effects. They have amazing engineers, and they have, you know, the resources behind them to make some of the best sounding DSP and pedal format. And I'm not sure how the DBA Rooms compares to the powerhouse of Strymon, but I'm sure it's great. Everybody has their own tone. I always think of the rooms as more of a darker sounding reverb, and I don't really know if I'm right about that because, like I said, I haven't had enough time with it. But so yeah, definitely the wrong person to ask. I don't even know why I'm still talking about it. Let's throw a couple of drum sounds behind this. We've got a 909 chain we could use. Could turn a slice on here and go in here and slice it up. How many slices does it have anyway? Whoa, looks like a lot. 32. Okay. So we go 32. So I should have 32 slices. If we copy this track and, yeah, I guess we could just load it again here. Let's just go like that too. So they'll both use it, and we'll turn slice on here, go into the editor, and also do that. So we could go live record. We could throw down something, just a couple of kicks to give us an idea of what's going on. I guess we could record that. Let's go over to our flex track, go ahead and set it up for recording. I do have it set up for recording. Let's just record a 4-bar loop of that. We could try and do some layering. Matt, I want to see you play Symphony of Automatones. Yeah. Oh wait, the Teenage Engineering Automatones? That would be hilarious. I do want to play with those. Just because, why not, right? All right, let's throw down a record trigger. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Oh, I guess we can record the next round too. All right, let's see what we got. Why was that off? Okay, now we can chop this up. 16 slices. Slice mode. Turn that on. Where did I put, where's my record trigger? Oh, wait. It's there. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So I guess if we do this. Let's get a little more granular, shall we? All right, now let's send this. That just sounds crazy. I need to spend more time messing with that sequence. But there's some potential in there, that's for sure. This sequence, I was having this clock divider at an odd time, so it was having a hard time lining up those drums. When I sliced it, it was just kind of a weird mishmash of timings, even though they're still clocked together. It was just, anyway, just a strange thing to do. Matt, I want through the Cloudburst. Yeah, I also want to do it through the Cloudburst. Okay, well, my name's Matthew from Patchworks. This is today's episode of Patchworks Live. It's something I like to do every Friday, and also something I like to do on Fridays is announce what's happening this month. So this month we do have some events coming up. Tomorrow we have a showroom sessions here at Patchworks. If you come on down to Stoneway in Fremont or Ballard, come on down to Patchworks. There's parking on the street, and we have a beautiful large showroom, and you can come in and get a free show. We have Orchid and Snowden playing, and both of these performers are fantastic live hardware musicians. It's going to be a great time. It's a free show. It's inside the showroom with some great sound. It's like you can bring your kids if you want, because it's completely free, and there is no age check or anything like that. It's just here at Patchworks. And then also what we have coming on this month is we have the Mod Bang event, which is on March 28th, and that's at the 4Bs. And as opposed to the Patchworks showroom session, this is a 21 and over show that starts at 7 o'clock. And that's going to be in Fremont as well, so also in this area. So you can go to Patchworks and then head on down to that show at 7 for some more live hardware electronic music. This is a much more dance-focused event, whereas the showroom sessions can be really anything. The Mod Bang events are more dance-focused, typically. Playing at the Mod Bang event, we have myself, EasyBot. We have Expert System. We have Ghost Voltage, who is our visualist, who is actually playing at this show. Usually goes by Magic Eye when they're doing the visuals. And then we have Ollie Loops, who is a friend of Patchworks as well, which is really cool. If you're not familiar with Ollie Loops, you should go check out his YouTube channel. He has a popular YouTube channel, does some great tutorials on synthesizers, and does some great history stuff. So really cool stuff. Appreciate him playing a Mod Bang event. So go and check it out. That's stuff happening this month that you can go do. Get out of your house and go and do these things and go see some people, meet the community. And if you're interested in playing any of these events, please reach out to me, Matt at Patchworks, and we'll see if we can get you on something. And if you want to play a Mod Bang event, you can also reach out to me at Matt at Patchworks, and I can help you with that as well. So be really great to see you down there. Please come on and support the electronic hardware community. We are hungry and looking for more people to participate, and very excited about that as well. So I would love to have you show up. My name's Matthew. I will see you guys next Friday at 3 o'clock for another episode of Patchworks Live, and we'll see what we're tackling then. I don't know quite yet. I'll have to pick out something special. Everybody have a great weekend, and enjoy this weather we've been having. It's been pretty good here in Seattle. We're quite lucky. Take care.